Hi, I'm Velikovsky of Newcastle, and this is just a quick flyover or speed run through two recent essays by the EthiSizer AI over at the EvCult Labs. There's the first one, Many Maps, One Globe, Unifying Systems Levels via the Meta-Meta Science of Evolutionary Culturology. And the second one, The Deepest Hierarchy, How Fractal Holarchy Partarchies Underlie All Systems and All Other Hierarchies. So, here's the first one. Many maps, one globe. There's a metaphor. Unifying systems levels via the meta-meta science of EvCult. This essay is 30,000 words. That's why the quick flyover. There's the abstract and some key words. Here's Rob Young's great slide on systems levels and the agenda from Rob's presentation, the existing knowledge on systems. Do levels exist in systems theory? What are they? How are they useful? Here's a table that summarizes all 20 theorists that are examined in the essay. So that's a too long, didn't read. There's the theoretical perspective, which is the meta-meta science of EvCult. Definition of system. The many maps of levels. So here's the table of contents. James Miller, Popper, von Bertalanffy, the Wilsons, etc. There's James Miller's levels from 1978. Lawrence Cahoon on orders. Hartman on values. Enrique's Tree of Knowledge. Nice diagram. Bit of a table examining that. This is an EvCult Tree of Knowledge diagram. Morowitz on the 28 emergence steps. A table analysing that from an EvCult perspective. Popper's 3 worlds and EvCult's 4 worlds. Another presentation on Popper's 3 worlds. Troncali's linkage propositions from 1978. Tables, Tyler Volk's 12 levels of the grand sequence from quarks to culture. There's Ervin Laszlo from Systems Philosophy 1972, his levels and scales. Boulding's Skeleton of Science. Von Bertalanffy's 9 levels of systems from his 1968 General Systems Theory. And examining that from an EvCult perspective. Jared Yeager's on operator theory, or the operator hierarchy. Different scales and levels, hierarchies there. And there's an EvCult examination of that. Excellent theory. Herbert Simon on hierarchy bands is an excerpt from the 2016 EvCult PhD on units, scales and levels. It's a quote from Simon, Sciences of the Artificial and the Architecture of Complexity. There's Patty's Epistemic Cut. Zipping on down, we've got Alan Allen on hierarchy theory, Jen Wilby, multi-level system analysis in systems practice. Examining all of that. There's Metcalf, Tuddenham et al. From the IFSR. Elaborating on buildings topology. There's the 2 Wilsons on levels within multi-level selection theory. Examining that. Maslow's levels in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Drilling down into that. David Christian on levels of complexity from Big History. There's your 9 levels. And then some selected diagrams from EvCult literature showing scales and levels and hierarchies. Summing up, here's the table again of all 20 theorists, and in a nutshell there, and then a bit more summing up, some of the EvCult literature, some more scales and levels diagrams, so units in the scales on cinema, then novels, and biology and ecology. Limits and edge cases, a sidebar on hierarchies in the wild, because there's over 100 types of hierarchies. Then there's a long conclusion, and then back to Rob's slides, back to those 4 key questions, sparking further discussion. So there's a summary of those different theorists' answers to those 4 questions from their work. And references and the usual apparatus at the bottom. So that is that particular essay by the EthiSizer AI. 30,000 words, no waiting, many maps, one globe. So that's a very interesting essay there, apparently sparked by Rob Young's great slide deck. Next. Yes, and then this is the second essay, The Deepest Hierarchy, How Fractal Holarchy Partarchies Underlie All Systems and All Other Hierarchies, by the EthiSizer AI. So let's do a quick speed run through that much shorter essay. So the deepest hierarchy, how fractal holarchy partarchies underlie all systems and all other hierarchies. There's an epigraph from Herbert Simon. There's the abstract, keywords. This follows on from many maps, one globe. Why do hierarchies recur across domains, and what unifies their structure and function? So then it goes into some EvCult meta theory. Fractal Hall and partons, the 3 laws, three scale levels of science, consilience, the unity of knowledge. This is all background theory. Now on hierarchy theories, quick discussion of that, then the method and approach. Here's a table of apparent hierarchies versus their deeper fractal holarchy partarchies, so military hierarchy, and then corporate hierarchies, educational, religious hierarchy, legal hierarchy, ecological hierarchy, technological, linguistic, astronomical, psychological, showing how EvCult applies equally to all. And then here's the universal stack, which shows the deeper structure and how the 3 laws operate across these different domains: astronomy, geology, biology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, human cultural information, chemistry, physics, matter, energy, and information. So those are 2 interesting tables the EthiSizers put together there. And then summary of both tables. Consequences of seeing deeply, and a conclusion, and a link to that other article about 100 plus types of hierarchies. So that too is a very interesting essay on levels, units and scales and hierarchies. So, any further questions? I suggest ask the EvCult GPTs. There's a few of them there, the EvCult tutor down the bottom right, and there's 20-something EvCult GPTs. You can insert part of either of those essays and ask it to elaborate further, probably. Next. And so that was a quick sort of flyby or flyover or speed run through two of those very interesting recent essays by the EthiSizer AI over at the EvCult Labs. Thank you very much for your attention.